Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 17th, 8:35 a.m. It is a good day. My kids are off at school today, first week of school, so that's pretty awesome. They were super excited to probably get away from me for the summer. Actually, my son would be perfectly happy staying home for the rest of his life with me. My daughter, on the other hand, is a social butterfly, so she was excited to go back. So today I want to do a little bit of a talk and a reflection on the conclusion that I have come to about the real problem in this world right now. And obviously this is an oversimplification, but I just want to I've been doing some reading. I bought some books by Saint Hildegard and some books about Saint Hildegard, and so I was reminded of some things in that, learned some new things. I'm still going through the process of reading them, and I'm going to eventually do videos on them. But right now I'm just kind of absorbing it all. And over the weekend, I had an opportunity to attend a high Latin mass at the most beautiful cathedral probably I have ever been in. I don't know, it's a toss up between this one and the one in DC, the National Shrine, which is also beautiful. Unfortunately, I went to that one during COVID, so it was kind of stressful and there you couldn't really walk around and whatever. But we went to Savannah, Georgia over the weekend, and we went to the Basilica or the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. And I'm going to intersperse pictures within this video because it's absolutely beautiful. The pictures do not do it justice. If you ever have the chance to visit Savannah, you have to go and you have to attend a mass there. I did confession on Saturday, and then like I said, we attended a high Latin mass on Sunday. And I was in awe. I'm not even going to go over the mass because I don't have words for it. Nothing I could say could even explain, begin to touch the beauty of it. It's something that everybody needs to experience for themselves. And I guess the only way I could say it was if heaven had come to earth, that was it. It was a little slice of heaven for sure. For me, it was like time stopped, and it was just amazing. And after I left, I had this overwhelming feeling of how in the world could anybody want to do away with that mass or suppress that mass? How is that not the mass that's being done every Sunday? So to me, it's truly diabolical. Now that I have something, like before I was, against suppressing the Latin Mass because I believe that we need to keep our traditions. That is one of the things we are called to do as Catholics, to pass down our traditions to the next generation. So on that aspect of it, the rational, logical side of it, I was super against um, suppressing the mass, but the traditional Latin mass. But now that I have experienced low masses before, but never a high mass and never in a cathedral. And I just really, there's no other explanation other than the suppression of that is 100% diabolical. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm pretty sure that's how God sees it too. What it is in the title of this video is the real problem in the world right now is that we have a plague of ugliness. We have a complete destruction of everything that is beautiful. It started in the church, and now we're seeing it come to fruition in the world. Obviously, the world has always had ugliness, but now we're seeing it on a full scale. And this is a complete rejection of divine beauty, is what this is, okay? And we know that our God is a God of beauty, a God who loves beauty. And we know this just by looking around at creation. When every time you go to the beach and stare out into the ocean or climb a mountain or, go to a field of wild flowers, it's very clear that God is an artist in a lot of ways in values beauty. And us as humans in the year 2021 have lost a sense of what is beautiful. We don't even know the heights from which we have fallen. And that is the real plague. And that is why the Blessed Virgin is so important in these times. More even a devotion to her, more even so than anything else, because a couple things. But overall, she is the most beautiful creature that was ever created. She is obviously feminine. The feminine side of life is known for beauty. That's why wisdom is always referred to as she. Holy Mother Church, it's all feminine, to address the beautiful side of life. It's even in the natural realm we could see that women typically are known for their beauty, whereas men are known, for their strength and whatever, but not obviously so much their beauty. So devotions to the Blessed Virgin restores the beauty that has been taken from us, and enables one to recognize the divine beauty in things. And it's extraordinarily important because, like I said, right now, what we really have is a plague of ugliness. And it's being reflected back to us in creation, which is why we have an increase in natural disasters, which is why we have an increase in awful events like what's going on in Afghanistan right now. But it starts in the hearts of men. It starts in the hearts of men. What we see going on, even the attack on the Latin Mass, is because the hearts of men on a large scale are ugly. So the restoration of true beauty in the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary is a very personal thing. It starts in the hearts of men, and then it will be reflected in our environment. And until we restore beauty in our hearts, it will go on like this. And it may go on like this until the end of time. I have no idea. Maybe there will be some restoration, maybe there won't be. Obviously in the end there will be a final restoration. But as far as where we are on that timeline, I don't know. But this is extraordinarily important. So in reading St. Hildegard, one thing that there's a lot of things in there that I have already been shown, which to me was just extraordinary. Because this is a saint that lived, I think, in like 11 or 1200. So for me and her, like, spiritual blackout is one of the words she uses. And I've been being shown this now for a year, of this spiritual blackout on a mass scale. But one thing that I didn't quite wrap my head around yet, that I'm starting to, is this relationship between humans and the creation in nature, and how she really gets into detail about the senses, which I want to get into, about how the Latin Mass, the High Mass, touches on all the senses. And she really talks about how nature is affected by sin. And that's a generalization, but nature is affected by the hearts of men. So the fact that there's so much ugliness and sin in the world right now, like, this is why I don't believe in, oh, live and let live, let people live in their sin. No, because in the long run, it does affect us all like a cancer, and it reflects in society, but in the environment. And so we're being told that, climate change is responsible for all these natural disasters and things like that. And then we're being told that, no, it's the wrath of God. But in reality, it's the hearts of men. The environment around us is simply a reflection of our hearts. And when we return to God and when we return to divine beauty, then we can live in harmony with the elements. But until that happens, until Mary's heart, Immaculate Heart, triumphs, and that's symbolism for beauty, because she is the most beautiful creature and her heart is the most beautiful created heart. And until that triumphs on an individual, personal basis in the hearts of men, then things will continue to get ugly. And so, yes, while we can blame the Pope for suppressing the Latin Mass, and we can blame Joe Biden for whatever, Really, what it comes down to is it's a reflection. All that is going on is a reflection of what is in our hearts. And we have turned away from God. We have traded in true beauty, the beauty of the family and the beauty of marriage and purity and the beauty of true worship. We have traded that all in for our own passions, our own desires, and our own creations. And there is nowhere that this is playing out more obviously than in the church right now when the Pope himself doesn't say go to Mass and repent and turn back to God to make COVID 19 go away. He says, take a shot, take an ugly, ugly shot that was derived from human sacrifice. And I'm not going to mince my words because that's exactly what it is. Um, you can talk to me about remote sin and all this stuff. I'm not interested. The industry that made these shots buys baby parts, okay? Buys baby parts. It doesn't get uglier than that. It doesn't get uglier than that. So we have this plague of ugliness that has been allowed to take over because our hearts are ugly, because we didn't want to be bothered with seeking out true beauty. We took the easy road. We took the convenient road of false beauty. And so here we are. Here we are. So I want to talk about St. Hildegard talks about the senses and how the senses really are the bridge between the outside and then the internal, and therefore, worship and the soul. In the Latin Mass, really, really more than anything I have ever seen, engages all the senses from the smell of the incense to the beautiful imagery in this cathedral, to which obviously the sense of smell, the sense of sight, the sounds. Oh my goodness, this choir was, I mean, if there's singing in heaven, then this choir is going to be singing in heaven, or gets their inspiration from heaven. I mean, it was just the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in person. The so that would be sound. What am I missing? Sight, smell, sound. There's five senses, Amanda. Touch, the Eucharist. Obviously, we're all touched by Jesus, and this even happens in, a Novus Ordo Mass, where we receive the Eucharist. But it was just the setting for this to be able to receive that touch was profound. It doesn't even compare. Like, I went back to church yesterday at, just daily Mass, and it was just disappointing. I'm like, this is not what it's supposed to be. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. It's just not what it's supposed to be. Okay. Um, so sight, smell, sound, touch, and also the touching of the getting, the movements, the kneeling, the whatever. Um, and the last sense is I obviously need more coffee. Taste. We taste Jesus, obviously, the bread that is the body, soul, blood, and divinity of Jesus in the Eucharist as well. So it engages truly all the senses. And it's suspended time for us. So even my little 7-year-old, when we left Mass, we walked outside back into the big city. My kids are not used to cities at all. So they were like, oh my, they were like totally like, wow, we've never been to a city like this before. Like, and walked around. We did a lot of walking. But my son was like, wow, mom, I forgot when I was in there, I forgot I was in the city. And he's like 7-year-old boy. So for him to even, it had a profound impact on my children even. But I couldn't help but cry, especially after I received the Eucharist. It was just beautiful. There's no other way to say it. And I was crying for joy, but I was crying out of sadness that anybody would want to take that away from us. I don't think ultimately it will succeed. I don't think God's going to allow it, but I don't know. I don't know. It would be a tragedy, I can tell you that. And it's not a coincidence that as soon as these restrictions were placed on this Latin Mass, that all hell started breaking loose and ugliness reared its ugly head in Afghanistan and whatever. That's not a coincidence. It's a reflection of the plague of ugliness that has taken over. So, one way to be able to, like I said, turn this back is to allow the Immaculate Heart of Mary to triumph within the hearts of men. And what is that saying? Divine beauty. Beauty and reverence for divine laws, especially, but even just beauty, poetic beauty in general. Go to a beautiful place, experience beauty. Go to, even in nature, it doesn't have to be a cathedral, although I highly recommend it. And just look around, and it'll affect you. Just start noticing beauty everywhere, and that in and of itself will be profound in reversing this plague of ugliness that has taken over. And it just, to me, it's so obvious, because even when I look at people who've gotten the jab and things like that, and people who are on the side of like the agenda of liberalism and whatever, and this anti-God agenda, for the most part, they're really ugly. There's no natural beauty. They're just ugly. They look old. They most of the time they have weird haircuts and different colored hair, and they're overweight and things like, they're just not attractive human beings. Now that can be fixed, I mean, if you start to have a beautiful heart, I think that even if you were not born with God-given good looks or whatever, you admit a glow. You emit a glow, or a just an aura of beauty anyway. Um, so it's all about the human heart. That's my point of this video. It's all about restoring beauty within the human heart so that the beauty on the outside can be restored. And even like now that the masks are coming back, like it's just ugly. Covering yourself with a paper mask is ugly. And that's what I mean. It's like the people in charge and the entities in charge love ugliness. And the rest of us just don't know the heights from which we have fallen. We can't even recognize true beauty unless it hits us in the face or we go seek it out. All the modern architecture, even all the modern churches, all the modern electronics, just, we've built an ugly world. It's just ugly. So that's where I'm at. I hope you enjoy my pictures. And we can pray for the Immaculate Heart of Mary to triumph in us. Like I said, we have to stop at some point blaming everyone and everything, and start understanding that, number one, we have been lied to, and we have been oppressed, and we have been robbed. But we're not helpless. We're not helpless. Obviously, violence and anger isn't the answer. Unfortunately, and I'm saying that because it feels good to lash out sometimes. It's a temptation we have to avoid. And I know a lot of people are angry over the Latin Mass and things like that, but that's not the answer. It's not going to do anything to bring back that beauty that is being taken from us. The answer is, if we want things to change, it has to change and first in our hearts. And it's a slow process. Our hearts, then in our households, our families, then it will start to change in society on a small level and then trickle up. It's kind of a bottom up approach. And make your homes beautiful, and again, that's where the feminine comes in. Not saying that men can't decorate, but not the best at it. Just saying. It's a very feminine thing. Again, this whole era of devotion to Mary is really about devotion to all that is beautiful. And Mary embodies that. Mary embodies that divine beauty that we have to seek after because what we are experiencing is a tragic plague of ugliness that started in the 60s. It did, or probably before that, but it became apparent at least after the mass was changed and the beauty was stripped. And I guess you could probably say it started with the Protestant Reformation, where they rejected divine beauty, they rejected the cathedrals, and they rejected Christ in the Eucharist and walked away, basically. And now I drive and all over, especially in the South, and there's just these warehouse churches and shopping malls and like no, that's not beautiful. It's ugly. It's ugly. And I know people that attend those things are doing the best they can, and I pray for them, but it's all ugly. We have to have a restoration of beauty. Make your homes beautiful, make your prayers beautiful. Um, in the end, her immaculate heart will triumph, but that has to start with us. And we don't know what that looks like, but most importantly, what it needs to look like is what is in us. That's what we need to be worried about. And then once that happens and enough people, her immaculate heart is triumphing in enough people, we'll start to see a change. And all of creation will reflect back to us the harmony of us living with the divine. There's a lot more in depth that I would like to go into on that topic, but I'm going to leave it where it's at for now. And I hope you all have a great day. Have a beautiful day. Virgin most powerful, pray for us.